right, week 14. I know it may be hard to believe, but hopefully you already are starting to feel, that this semester is heading in a positive direction and it's just a matter of stepping through what you need to do. Okay? So I'm here today to talk to you about week 14 and what we're going to focus on. We're going to focus on some big data topics. Now, big data is a big deal because of the amount of data in this documentary, so I'm not going to say a lot about it. And I want you to watch the whole thing in this case, and it's about an hour. So I'll try to keep this video relatively short, but by the way, you're taking notes right now. So pull up your notes and start taking a few notes because I want to talk about some end of semester topics. And I know last week when I had played the video from last semester, I had started talking about this already, so I just want to kind of bring it up to date as far as our semester goes. Okay, so let's do that, and then I'll talk about getting Microsoft Access, and then I'll talk about the final, and then I'll end up with coming back to this documentary. So if I roll to the calendar, we're in November, day after the election. For some people, a very depressing day, but our country will survive. We are a strong union, and sometimes change is not what we want it to be, but it is change. So we have to navigate that, which we all have to do in life. Enough of my commentary. Okay, so I'm going to roll forward to December, right? By the way, let me go back. You can see that Thanksgiving, which by the way, a couple weeks away, so we have something to be grateful for. There's no items due, but then you have access, hands-on, and then your classwork, so it does get moved here. The good news is that on that week is our last chapter quiz. So in this case, moving it only gives you 3, not 4 items. So that's good. Then rolling forward to December is that what we see here is as we move into the month of December, your Access Lab test, which let's go ahead and do this now. Since you have, and I ask you about this, if you had it or not. Some of you indicated you did, some of you indicated you didn't. Let me show you how you get into the system. I had set up everyone at the beginning of the semester, but if you didn't get the email or whatever, you can try the following technique if you need to get access. Okay, so in your notes we're talking about access here. Remember, for Mac students, this is not an option for you. You got to figure out a workaround. But I'd go to Fresno City College, I'd go to the business division, and under the business division there's something, and it's called DreamSpark, but it's actually been renamed. It's no longer DreamSpark. It's actually called Imagine. So if I click here, so I'm going to go down. So now that I clicked on the DreamSpark within the business, then it takes me to this website, which is where you could get Microsoft Access. Now, I will say, before I show you just how to get the password, the lab test that you're going to take, put this in your notes, is going to be for Access 2013. And there is a current version of Access 2016, so I believe you could get either, but I'd probably recommend, if you don't have it, go ahead and get the 2013 because that's what you've been being trained on in my IT lab. But if you want to get the latest version, that's fine as well. Remember, I'm saying this because this program does not come as part of your email system that you got Word and Excel and PowerPoint if you wanted it. So here's what you need to do. What you want to do here is you're going to do a forgot password. Okay, so if I hit sign in here, there is a forgot username and password. And when I click on username and password, this should be where the email that you have for the system, and this is not, as far as I understand this, right, this is not necessarily your ID number that's first, right? It's your correctly formed email address, right? So that's what you need to use there, and then you hit submit and it should send you, so make sure you have that email open, forgot password option, and then you should be able to get into the program and then download it. So you'll then download the program and then you'll have it. Okay, so hopefully you put something in your notes about that. So I'll go ahead and close this. All right, so coming back here, so in that case I was talking about, oh, right here, actually we're talking about calendar, right? So that's the lab test. and then you'll have classwork, and then here is the final. So I've actually made the final available. So in your notes, put final is available. I'm going to make it available by the end of the day for both sections. I did do it for one section, so I'll do it for the other one. It is under exams. It does account for 10% of your grade, so it's a very important thing that can make a difference between letter grades for students. So I'll go ahead and click final, and then it's in here. You have 3 attempts at the exam, and every time you, so first in your notes, 3 attempts, only 3 attempts. And then the final, what you will do is take the highest of your attempts, and just like you've done in the past, is you'll post, and I'll give you a link, in Canvas to post a print screen of your highest score. So you can take it 3 times. It is 100 questions, I believe. I went and looked at it a minute ago. And you can take it anytime between now and the end of the semester, which in this case, in the semester for us, meaning the first night of finals week. Okay, so that's the final. And the other thing I want to say, so another new topic is last date to ask me to late grade, right? So not only is this night the last night to take the final. Obviously, I've released it here, so you could have taken it any time between now, which is the middle of November, not even, to December. So you have time to do it, but this is the last opportunity to complete it. So I will wake up this morning and I will post the grades. But again, if you do it sooner, then you will know how you end up, which is a good thing. Okay, so I will post grades here. Now, I keep clicking that. So this is the night, then I get up and post. Now, I will talk about this day in a second in relationship to something else, but coming back here. So in addition to the December 12th being the night you take the last night to attempt the final, right? It is also the last night until midnight to ask me for a late grade and ask me to apply any late points returned. Okay, so keep that in mind. Even though it's not on the calendar because it's not an item that's due, in your notes, and probably of all the notes you're going to take today, this is going to be your most important one, is that December 12th at midnight is the last night to take the final. It's the last night to ask me to grade any late work, and it's also the last night to ask me to apply any late points returned. Right? So even though it just says final, there's two other things there that it is also the deadline for. Okay? All right, so those are the important things to know about that. And then here on the 13th, this is what we call, and in your notes put this, what I call a review day. So there's no more work to be done on the 13th. No work to be done. I will actually remove access to the work, but what you can do is look at your grade. In other words, you can't do any new work, but you can clarify any question that you will have about items, right? So this is what we call review day. So in your notes, December 13th, the Tuesday, is review day. So you have 24 hours from the morning when I wake up, I post any final items that have been late graded or the final or whatever. You can look at your grade, you can ask me any questions, and then I get up on Wednesday morning, the 14th, and I post grades. So if you're asking me about anything on any time after the morning of the 14th and on, it's going to be no go because you have had an opportunity, I'm just telling you, this whole time to ask, but this is in your notes review day. Okay, so we have the items that are due. I've talked about we have a review day, and then I have post grade. So if you're going to ask me questions, you got to do it before that morning of December 14th. Cool? Hopefully you got all that. So the other thing I would say is I've contacted the publisher to find out that there was an issue with the test banks in Canvas, but I can't change it at this point. Unfortunately, I will change it for next semester. But there was some errors, not errors, but there was questions that were repeated, and some chapters didn't actually match up with the content. And because we're at the end and we only have a couple more chapters to go, I can't really change it at this point. So for those of you that are wondering, yes, there was an issue. It has been reported to the publisher, but There's not any change I can do at this point. Now, what that does mean, and which is part of why I think I was motivated to go ahead and release the final a little early, was that you're probably going to see some questions on the final that you have not seen yet. But again, this is not a timed, you can only have it within a certain time. You have the opportunity to go and do a little more research in the textbook to find these answers. And remember, again, each time you take it, you get a new set of questions. Okay, I know that's a lot. Just kind of let that soak in. You'll hopefully you understood this was like no surprise, but if it was, then at least now you can say you were informed. So now you'll need to take notes on the video we're just completing. You will need to now watch this documentary. So in your notes, I want to see topic that say class topics and then big data. And I want you to watch this documentary. I'm about halfway through it right now, and I stopped and realized I halfway through. Totally excellent to have you guys be aware, because big data is a lot of data that we first provide, and then the people collect. I mean, there's just an amazing amount of data, and actually we're using only a little bit of it, so imagine we can use more of it to help make better informed decisions, right? But also to understand the footprint that's left behind by everything that you do. So these are just really important topics, and the reason I felt that was appropriate, because we've moved into the access the database part of our class. And the more you understand about big data, the better off your understanding of the world. And also, these are great career paths, right? So, if you want, you can actually search for data scientist. These are programs that are offered. I hope to see us at City offer one soon, but right now you can get online degrees in this area, and it's really a growing needed area in our world to become a data scientist, right? So being able to understand, being able to take from data and extract and process into information is a huge deal, huge science, and that's not even beginning to really talk about what it is. Okay, so enough for today. Hope you have a great rest of your week, and I will talk to you again next week in week 15 as we count down to the end of the semester. Have a good one. Bye.